Welcome back to the Head and Heart podcast, the bulkiest footy podcast out there. As always, I'm the heart with the head. Let's get into last week's results. So, how'd you go?
Yeah, for myself, I went one of three on the bets posted on the pod with a total loss of $119.25 from those bets. Total loss from the week was pretty rough, 384.25. Lost my head a bit last week betting on some really dumb stuff in the Roosters game, which you can see in my spreadsheet there. Like we're going to turn around this week, guaranteed winning week for mine, I think, because after you have a big loss, people overreact, and I'm not going to do that, and I'm going to win this week. How about yourself?
Yeah, unlike you, I actually made money this week. I was 1 from 5, and I'm up $17.50. So, once again, heart week. That's why you don't bet ridiculous money like yourself, Head. That's why you just lose it all. Let's get back into the games though. So Eels 34, Sharks 22. So you said you saw this coming?
Yeah, this was the one of the round that I got right. Even though I did bet on the Eels early, I did think about cashing it out, but at the price by the time the game started wasn't really there for me to cash it out. So I was happy to ride it, but it was a little bit of a nervous ride. But yeah, definitely didn't like playing the Sharks in this one, and happy the Eels got home for myself. What about yourself?
Yeah, well, I assume there'd be a lot of points down Sivo's edge. There were none, surprisingly. So I had Sharks head to head, Katoa, Ramian, and Ronaldo. Rather disappointingly, neither scored. None scored, and the Sharkies lost. What can you do? I guess.
Yeah, what can you do? The next game of the round was the Knights versus the Bulldogs. Very disappointing
Yeah,
game for us
disappointing.
as Knights fans.
Yep. Game
Um,
after that, we'll move on. Panthers, Dragons.
yeah. I mean, we'll touch on the game quickly. Like we looked awful. And obviously your bet would have lost, and I didn't have a bet in the game. But yeah, very disappointing, really.
Very disappointing.
Yeah. No, but the Panthers versus the Dragons. What did you have in that game?
Well, I honestly thought the Panthers would pile on the points. I didn't see that coming on at all. The Dragons had an absolutely massive win. This is very unlike the Panthers to lose here, to be honest. And they're going up against a team that they themselves are also ruined by Origin. So I've got no
Yeah,
clue what's going on here. But yeah, I had Panthers head to head, Taruba and Tonga to score.
yeah.
So the center and wing scored on the other side, which I didn't expect at all.
Yeah. For myself, I definitely didn't expect this scoreline, but I was a little bit less bullish on the Panthers. I sort of had an inkling that it would be closer than some people might have thought that were betting the Panthers heavily. So I did have 1 to 24 in this one. The Panthers 1 to 24, but it didn't work out that way. The Dragons ended up winning. Some of the factors that I considered, like the downgrade to Marshy, wasn't actually in the end as big of a downgrade. Marshy played absolutely unreal in this game, and yeah, if I'd known that he had that sort of performance in him, probably would have reconsidered how I was betting in this one. So a little bit annoying, but yeah, like lessons to be learnt from some of these games.
Yeah, definitely. We had a side bet in this one as well. It was Schneider v Cole, whoever gets the most Supercoach points. Yeah, what do you think of that? What do you think of the sickly, frail Victorian boy in Jack Cole not performing as well as Brad Schneider?
It was the other way around. I had Schneider,
Oh shit!
and Cole was better.
Are you sure about that? Can we
I mean,
re-recall it?
I
I
mean,
mean, I think
Schneider definitely scored less than Cole, so I'll pretend that
I,
I
you
had
know, I
I
knew I
had
won, but I forgot which player I was on.
yeah. No, I definitely had Schneider, and I think Schneider was on zero at halftime.
Oh, that's right. No,
Um,
yeah, I remember now. So I said that Schneider looks too scared in his profile picture. That's right.
yeah.
Which I do agree he does.
Yeah, he had a shocker, Schneider. Yeah, like not really much more to say than that. And I can't remember their teams, but I think did Cole get picked or Schneider? I think Cole.
I believe Cole did actually. Let me just
Yeah,
double check.
which probably would have been surprising um,
Yep.
before before this week. So yeah, like he's obviously played himself into that jersey over Schneider, who had a bit of a shock on the weekend. So yeah, but it's probably shocking to a lot of people that Cole ended up with that jersey there. But if you had bought him, you're absolutely stoked that
Yeah, that's so good. I
he's
might have to
done
pick him
well.
up myself, to be honest.
Yeah, definitely. an option if you're I think he's just 5'8". I think he's just available at 5'8", but yeah, definitely could be an option there. We'll get into that a little bit later. Let's talk about the Dolphins Raiders game. Bit of a thriller, this one. And the Raiders ended up winning in Golden Point.
Absolutely, I loved watching this game. To be honest, the fact that Jordan Rapiner kicked both field goals for the Raiders is absolutely insane. How
Yeah,
does that happen?
never kicked a field goal before.
Never kicked a field goal before.
Yeah,
He's just the ultimate footy guy. Like, remember early in the season, we thought we'd never see him again. Like,
yeah,
he went down injured, and he goes into the halftime sheds, and no one knows what's wrong with him, so he just walks out there again.
yeah.
Love to
No,
see him.
he's definitely like. There's few players that are like as consistently like what they are as Rafina, and I mean that in that he is only really, really good or really, really bad.
Yeah, he is. His performances are Jordan Rapiner like. There is no way, no other way to say it.
Yeah, yeah. He only has like games like he did where he also had like a try saving tackle right before extra time as well. Like he on oh yeah, try saving tackle right before extra time. Like he was just unreal in this game. And yeah, he can pull those performances out. For myself, I had the Dolphins -3.5. So obviously that one didn't get up in this game. Yeah, lots of ebbs and flows in the game, but the Raiders pretty much consistently, I think they might be the team that I've lost the most money betting against this season. So they consistently seem to show up. So yeah, you're just definitely going to be wary betting against the Raiders this season. But what did you have in this game?
Yeah, so I had the Raiders, which very luckily got up there right at the end, and then Savage and Bostock anytime try scorer. They were the second and third tries scored respectively.
Yeah, and also this game we had a side bet. So you had the Raiders head to head, and that one got up as well. So you
I
took
believe
on
you were trying to
2-0.
talk me out of doing that instead of going for the Lions. So
The
jokes on you,
line,
I
you
doubled
wouldn't have
on.
even been stressing in extra time when they were taking pot shots at field goals. You wouldn't have even had to worry.
Yeah, well, I'm a man, right? I don't take baby bets like that.
Yeah, fair enough. No worries. I mean, it worked out for you in the end, but yeah, I guess that's probably pretty typical of head versus heart. Um, that you're like, fuck it, I'm
Fuck it,
just gonna
exactly.
take the head to head.
I am the heart of this operation here. I know what I'm betting on. This is why I get up in clutch situations, mate.
Yeah, yeah. No, nice. And then yeah, the last game of the round, the Roosters Cowboys, probably the biggest shock of the round and one of the biggest shocks of the year, considering how decimated that Cowboys team was in the end. Um, yeah, like I've already mentioned, I didn't actually have a best bet on this game, but when it got to the game, I ended up betting on Manu anytime. I ended up betting on the Roosters -15.5 because that dropped in from 18.5. And obviously they both lost. So that's what was a large contributor to my poor week this week. But what about yourself? What did you have in this one?
Yeah, my bet never really looked like getting up, to be honest. I had Roosters at the line of -17.5, and then Young and Manu to combine for 3+ tries.
Yeah,
Bad beat, bad beat.
yeah, very bad beat. Yeah, that's all the games from last round because there was only the 5 games. Obviously, as we've already mentioned, you went 2-0 in the side bets this round, and takes the record from the recent run of side bets to 3-2 to myself. So it's very close, and hopefully we'll come up with a few more side bets this round. And yeah, we'll see who ends up taking that one out.
Let's
Uh,
see.
let's touch on our Supercoach ranks. What did you score, and where are you at after the major buy round?
So, funnily enough, with that buy round, I scored higher than I did last week. I got 907 total. I am up 8,000 positions to 40,473.
Yeah, nice.
Shows you like how one bad week completely takes you out of Supercoach.
Yeah, I actually thought I had a really poor week considering how well a lot of people went in our league. I had an 886. I was going to trade in, so I traded into Bell and still I was going to trade in Teddy in the end, and then Teddy got pulled out, and I traded in Manu last minute, Captain Manu, and he got 50 odd. So a bit annoying in that respect, but I still ended up moving up the ranks. So now I've moved into uh 15,000 or around 15,000, up 3K. So can't really be too upset about that score and the rank that I'm at the moment. And I think rounds like this one is a good opportunity to make up ranks. So people might, like a lot of people would have prepared well for round 16, but then sort of 17. Sorry, no, sorry. A lot of people would have prepared well for 13, but like rounds 14, 16, 17, 19, 20, people will be far less prepared, and I think I'm prepared pretty well
Yeah.
for those rounds. Let's talk betting for this week. First of all, we did briefly touch on it, but we'll touch on Origin best bets. Hopefully, should get this pod out before Origin. It's currently Tuesday when we're filming this, but yeah, we should be able to get this pod out before Origin. For yourself, I know you did say that you liked New South Wales 13 plus. Has your tune changed at all?
Not
Since
at
last?
all. It's gone up in price, so I am doubling down now. New South Wales 13 plus at $6.
Yeah, nice. With Teddy in, does that change your opinion on that bet positively or negatively?
I think he's a better fullback than Dylan Edwards, to be honest. So I'm happy they finally picked the right man.
Fair enough. For mine, I probably prefer Dylan Edwards there, but
I don't think that's a smart decision. I think you should go for expertise, to be honest.
yeah, no, but for mine, probably best bet is either team 1 to 10. Historically, there was like one bit of an outlier round a few years ago where New South Wales won comfortably round one. Game one. But yeah, generally very low scoring, very close games. Don't really love how low the points line is, but I'm definitely willing to take either team 1 to 10, and you can get that on points bet at around $1.97, I think, boosted in a multi. But yeah, around the $1.90s at least. And then yeah, that's in my spreadsheet if you want to see that one. And then also I'm going to chuck $25 on New South Wales just to win on PointsBet, because they're running a promo that the first try scorer, the team that scores first automatically pays out. So they could score first and then lose the game, and you still win that bet. And you can do the same thing with Queensland if you prefer Queensland. But
Smart man. I'm also
I
on
like
it. So
New South Wales in this one. And that sort of speaks to our head and heart bet of the week as well this round. I did say I like New South Wales, and I did say I like them in a close one. So for my leg, it was New South Wales 1 to 12. And then for yourself, what was your leg of the head and heart bet?
well, I'm just glad that one of my heroes has finally made it to the Origin stage. So I'm going with Zach Daddy. I'm going to slob all over him. He's going to score.
Yeah, nice. So we got New South Wales 1 to 12 and Lomax. I think you said that
Yep.
was around $7.
Yep.
Yeah, I'll have that on the screen regardless. That's the head and the heart bet of the week, and a fun one to load up on during Origin. Let's jump into the NRL now, though. So we'll talk best bets for the round. My absolute best bet of the round. I got on the Warriors plus 6.5 on better at $1.90. You can still get plus 4.5. I would take them anywhere down to head to head. That's how confident I am on this bet. If you look at the Cowboys team, all of their Origin players are named in their reserves. So don't look at the team and presume that they're going to have no Origin players. But I can almost guarantee they'll be missing a few, right? Obviously, looking at the two teams now as they're listed, the Warriors should be favourites. But yeah, no. So that's not what the teams are going to end up as. If you want to play it safer, you can wait closer to the game. But for mine, I just love getting on the Warriors. I would fully fit. I would almost be willing to take the Warriors plus 6.5, and there's a very high chance that the Cowboys are going to be missing players, and at the very bare minimum, some of their players will be more tired. So
Yeah.
there is that for mine. But what about yourself? What was your best bet of the round?
Yeah, look, after last week's performance from Newcastle and seeing that's literally no changes have been made, I am going with Melbourne Storm at a line of negative 29.5. That is paying $5.40. I hate
Yeah,
to be cynical, but I don't see anything changing.
I
You have to
can't
make
say I love
changes.
that bet, but yeah,
You have to make changes for things to change. So nothing's changed. Nothing will change.
yeah.
I
I
feel like
mean,
crying. I feel like crying putting on this bet, but I'm making money by doing so. So it's a win-win. It's a win-lose situation, really.
yeah. I mean, it would be pretty depressing if you put betting against us and then you still lose that bet. But
Yeah.
anyway, um, let's move on to the trades for the round. For myself, making 2 trades. I'm a little bit short numbers because I did end up going the Manu there. So for myself, at the moment, I'm going Sam Hughes to Samuel Afinu. But that, like, I'm that short numbers that I might have to end up trading Hughes back in, and I could do like via Jules. I could do Smithies to Sam Finu instead, and then I'm also doing Angus Crichton to David Fafita. That one as well would definitely change. An instance where that bet or where that trade might change is, for example, New South Wales dump Queensland. You'd think they'd want to make changes for the next 2 origins, and then it's all. I feel like Fafita is the most obvious change to bring in to that team. So it's almost definite that he plays the next 2 oranges and misses 16 and 19. But even if there's that chance of missing 16 and 19, I'm still happy to jump on him. You look at someone like a Dylan Edwards that people would have jumped on, and then he ended up being named for Origin. Not that he is playing in the end, but like, you can't really be too upset because let's say he plays that Origin game, he probably plays the round after, and then they miss 16, 19. Like, he's still putting out these big scores. I think the same sort of thing with Fafita. He's still going to put out big scores in the games in between. So I'm happy to have, like, run the little bit of risk that he might play Origin. But like, that's also dependent. I can reverse the trade if New South Wales just thrash.
Yeah, exactly. If they do thump it, you've got till Friday this week at 8 o'clock, so you've got plenty of time to work out what you want to do.
Yep, exactly. What about yourself?
Yeah, so for the first time in a very long time, I am making 0 trades. I have basically made max trades to this point every single time. I actually ended up sneaking in a trade last week. I can't remember who, to be honest, off the top of my head, and I probably should have known. But yeah, so I'm saving my trades this week. I'm pretty comfortable with my team. Like you said, I may end up going for Gussie, doing the exact same trade as you, going Gussie to DFAF. But for now, I am staying. I will be staying sober on the trades.
Yeah, no, fair enough. Probably a good idea to start saving some trades around this point of the year. And yeah, if you've got numbers, definitely don't need to make the trade. I'm just looking at team now. I can see you went Mapalongi. Was that a late trade or?
Yeah, so Mapalangi was a late trade for me. It just saved us a bit of cash.
Yep, no, fair enough.
Bill? Who did I
And yeah, I mean, a lot of these trades, even a lot of these bets that we make today, is going to be super dependent on what happens in Origin as well. Like, injuries, stuff like that could mess up your team. So you just got to be super aware of what's going on in that game and how it'll affect your team. But just in terms of trades generally, obviously you're not making trades. Is there anyone particularly you like? Do you like the Dave Fafita trading?
Yeah, so I absolutely love David Fafita. He like, I have been frothing over him so much, worried that he may not end up, like, so Matt probably assuming he would play in Origin because of how well he is. So instead I went to the 2 players who I didn't think would play Origin, being Berto and Lomax, but you can't win them all. Yeah, I want Fafita in my team. I'm just not sure if I can do it this week or next week. But like you said, I'm going to wait to see what happens with this Origin game. If Queensland win, I'm going straight to Fafita. If Queensland lose by, say, less than 12 points, I'm going straight to Fafita next week. But for now, I'm happy to hold off.
Yeah, no, fair enough. Yeah, like Fafita as well. Just for mine, you definitely can agree that I'll maybe look at him for next week. But like, he's got the Souths matchup this week. Like, they concede the most points out of any team in the comp. So I'm very keen this week to just bank those points, especially considering how short I am on numbers. Just want to make sure I've got some decent points in my team. In terms of other highly traded in players, Brendan Hands, is he someone that you would consider?
That's him. That is the other player I traded in last week. Yeah, so I traded in Brenton Hands direct for Parramatta Lussick. He is absolutely killing it, and I love to see that he's playing 80 minutes. So
Yeah,
it's pretty funny that I managed to trade from one Parramatta hooker to the other, but it is working. If you don't
yeah,
have Hands, I'd go straight for him. He's a cheapie right now, and he'll keep on raising in value.
yeah. Definitely not a bad trading, but super dependent on your team makeup for mine. I've got Appy and Grant, and I'm definitely not trading off either of them anytime soon. Hopefully, just hold them for the rest of the season would be ideal. Don't make trades for the sake of making trades, which some people might be doing with Hands. Only look at him if you've got issues in your hooker position. Other players we could touch on is like your Jerome Hughes, Eli Katoa, Latrell Mitchell, Mitch Moses, even. But yeah, I think we jump into them more when we get into each game. Yeah, so just speaking of games, the first game of the round is the Dragons versus the Tigers. Yeah, two teams off a bye. Is that correct? No, Dragons played.
No,
Sorry.
no, Dragons won last week against the
Yeah, Dragons won.
Panthers.
Yeah, my bad. Sorry. Yeah, no, Tigers. Tigers off a bye. In Wollongong. In terms of Supercoach, there's a few of those Dragons boys that become an option. Finau, Fine, and Fine. Are any of those of interest to you for this week?
Yeah, I said last week that I was really looking deeply into the two Fine brothers in particular. One thing I really want to know though is who drops out and Lomax comes in.
Yep.
I would rather wait another week to find out who's got that position locked down. That was Jack Birds.
Yep.
For now, I think it's probably best to wait and see. Do you agree?
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. I definitely would be waiting a week on any of these options. Yeah, if he now ends up getting the spot, he would be a very, very decent option there. Yeah, like he's bottom dollar, so a player you could look at. Obviously, he's in the Dragons team, so like you might not get that many tries, but yeah, at bottom dollar, he could be a very serious option. Yeah, sort of moving more through the Dragons team. Jesse Marsh, he had a really good game, but not an option with Ben
Yeah.
Hunt.
Yeah, especially
Still,
Ben Hunt could even play this game. Like he's been named in the reserves. It's highly unlikely he plays with the 2-day turnaround, but there's no guarantee he even plays this game.
yeah. The player we both got in last week, Jack DeBellin, scored very well on the weekend, 81. I was tossing up DeBellin and Preston in the end and was pretty annoyed when Preston ended up going 100, but then DeBellin got an 80, so can't complain too much. Would he be someone
We got
still...
so much shit in the boys group chat about that as well. And I'm so glad that he absolutely killed it. Make it even funnier. Yeah, suck my moderately sized penis.
Would he be someone you still target for this week? He's up to 640k. Yeah.
I mean, he's going to consistently score anywhere between 50 and 70. Probably actually 55 and 70. Is it something you really want to risk at that price? I mean, he could continue going up, but in all likelihood, he's probably just going to score base 60 from now on.
Yeah, and for mine, he had to be a player that you trade in for 13. Like considering he misses round 16 and round 20, you don't really want to be targeting any players that are missing 2 weeks in the next sort of run of buys. So there's not really too much else in the Dragons team that I love. But a team that you should be targeting is the West Tigers. They don't have a single buy in this upcoming run of games. So from round 13 through to round 20, they don't have a single buy. So you should be really heavily targeting Tigers players. In terms of some of the interesting options, the first one that I can see there in number 2 is Alex Lobb. He can goal kick, so that might happen. So it is a player that could have serious upside if he holds that position and ends up goal kicking. Would he be someone that you look at for this week, or someone that you're looking at in the future?
I'm happy to wait a week to see if he gets that goal kicking. If not, then I have no interest at all, to be honest. But if he does, I think it'd be a lock next week.
Yeah, no, definite wait a week at least, and then obviously you don't have to go next week either because
who's been kicking for them actually?
Sorry?
I can't. Who's been kicking for them?
Appy has.
Appy. Okay. Yeah, they makes a lot of sense that they're bringing.
He's a decent goal kicker. He's not the worst ever, but yeah, I'm pretty sure this Lob is a pretty good goal kicker. So he might end up goal kicking. Would be like I definitely wouldn't think it's a certainty, but yeah, like we'll see on the weekend, I guess.
Yeah.
And if he does, it's a slam dunk pick. Still might be a decent pickup either way because he's 200k. Any of these other options interest you? Someone like an Olams, someone that always gets chucked around. I'm still not interested. Lockie Galvin's been actually putting together some
It's been
nice little scores
it's been going
recently.
for it. Yeah, look, I don't really think there's any players that stand out too much for me.
Yeah,
Okay, but as a side note, why is Naden named at 14 on the bench?
yeah. We can get into their bench in a second. Their bench is just like, yeah, I don't know what's doing there. Ruben Porter, fucking,
Who's
yeah,
that?
I don't even know. Obviously, I'm making a trade in from the Tigers, so probably should talk to that. Samuel Afinu, he's playing 80 on in the back row, front row forward. Jewel as well, so front row forward, second row forward. Jewel, I think he's a slam dunk trade in this round. Probably should be higher traded in my opinion, considering they play all these games coming up, and I need to plug a spot in my front row regardless. And yeah, big fan of his work, especially considering I have DeBellin. I've got DeBellin and Finu in my front row at the moment, but I can switch one of them down and then I can move them around and play with my team a bit in having them both there. So massive fan. Probably if you're not looking at someone like a feeder, probably Samuel Finu should be your highest targeted player this round, in my opinion. I know we spoke about hands, but is Appy Coruscant someone you would target?
I think Appy would be the perfect hooker if you don't have him to just be your final hooker in the year. To be honest, if you can, if you've got a couple trades left, you aren't sure who you want in hooker, I would probably be picking up Appy. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I mean Appy's the similar sort of thing as a David Feeder, right? Like if New South Wales win and win well, like Appy's probably not going to get in the team, right? But if they get smacked, like do you think Reece Robson's dropped? Do you think they play two nines even? Like that possibility is very real. I own
Yeah,
Appy at the
definitely.
moment. So I'm just gonna keep him obviously because he hasn't been named for Origin and there's absolutely no reason to get rid of him. But if you're thinking about buying him, you just have to think about the real possibility that if New South Wales gets smacked, then he could get picked. So it's a watch on the Origin game, but yeah, definitely could be a serious option. Is there anyone else in this Tigers team that interests you? Some people talking about like a safe off even.
Yeah, not really, to be honest. I
Yeah,
say that in particular, no.
yeah,
Yeah, there's just nothing really that enticing for me there.
yeah. I think your Samuel Fine is really the best, the
Yeah.
standout option in this team. And then outside of that, I don't love too much. Obviously, the lob there is a decent option, but probably not for this round. Let's jump into betting in this game. What did you have for this one?
So I have Tigers head to head with I think their debutant Alamalu. How do you say that name?
Alamalo?
Alai Malo?
He's not a debutant. He's played a few.
Okay, well, never mind. I just assume he's going to score
You just clearly don't
against.
watch any Tigers games.
No, I don't. Yeah. So how many games has he played? 4 games. Okay, he scored one try. Yeah, I'm just going to say he's going to score anytime at $5.
Nice. Very hard bet. Don't even know who he is. Just bet on him to score.
Yeah.
For myself, we didn't really touch on it that much, but yeah, like looking at that Tigers bench, I hate, not a fan at all. So I'm not a fan of them in the long run, but I think their starting team is still reasonably strong. So I'm taking the Tigers plus 4.5. In the first half, you can get that on Sportsbet currently at $1.79, but I'll have a bit of a look around and I might chuck it above my head right now what the best odds are. That may even be better on game day. So just monitor that one. But yeah, really like the Tigers in the first half, especially that you're getting over that 4.5 number.
Yeah.
Yeah. The next game of the round is the Titans versus the Bunnies. Few big ins for the Titans, like a big player movements. Both these teams off pretty big wins. How do you think that affects their Supercoach stocks? Is there anyone in particular that stands out to you in either of these teams?
Well, other than the obvious in David Fafita, I'm kind of coming around to the idea of bringing Latrell Mitchell at fullback. He
Yeah,
seems to be scoring somewhat consistently, even if he doesn't seem to be playing the. He plays very good for super coach points, even if he doesn't seem to have the best games on the field, which is really strange to see.
yeah.
Like, I do like the idea of him. Other than that, I can't really see anyone kind of jumping out at me at all.
Yeah. So obviously we've already spoken to Dave Fit. I don't really need to get into that anymore. But Latrell Mitchell, 1.7% traded in this round. Yeah, for mine, I've got a bit of a bad memory with Latrell, and you can't really let that affect how you make your trades. Like people could have easily had a bad memory about a Dom Young, for example, and not traded him in that round that he went and got 150 plus. So you sort of have to look at it on merit. He's looking eye test looking okay, but like I just feel like the bunnies will run into better teams. Like
Yeah.
he might do okay this round for sure. Like the Titans are not a very strong defensive team, and he did well against an Eels team that at that point in time was missing all their play. I know they got all their players back and performed well this week, but when they played them, they were missing everyone. Like you have to take into context his scores. There's way better fullbacks in the comp. Yeah, I'm not rushing to trade him in by any means. I mean, I've got decent options back there at the moment myself. So yeah, definitely not rushing to trade him in. Definitely not a priority trade him. But like, yeah, I mean, there's worse moves you can make for sure. Another one there is Keon Kolomatangi, 584K.
Mm.
Yeah,
He's
like
playing lock though, which I don't really like from a Supercoach perspective.
yeah,
It
I mean,
seems,
he got 133 on the weekend, well, in his last game, which was why
yeah,
uh, people are getting around it. He does have a bit of pedigree in Supercoach, so I can kind of get behind it a little bit. But yeah, like you said, he is playing lock, which I don't like as much for him. But do you have any interest in a Kolomatangi?
none to be honest. I don't like picking locks too much, just given they seem to be lower scoring than both front rowers and second rowers. Mostly because they don't really seem to hit the line as much, from what I've seen at least. Um, yeah, I just can't see Colin Matongi fitting my team.
Yeah, I mean, he was named at lock when they had their big win against the Eels, and he did get a double. So I don't know if that theory necessarily holds up with Kolomatangi. Can understand people looking at him, but for mine, I'd much rather like I don't know if he's that season long option. I'm still not really convinced on the Rabbits, so I don't love it. I'd rather just go to someone like a David Fafita,
Yeah,
spend up
definitely.
or save money and go to a semi final. I'd rather
Yeah,
either
I
of
agree
those
with
two
you there.
options there. In terms of the rest of their team, like for this round, at least no one particularly stands out to me.
I mean, considering getting on Sean Kepi, actually.
Sean Kepi,
Yeah, I just think he
please
looks
get on
very
Sean
handsome.
Kepi.
I'm actually, if you're doubting me, I will put a bet on Sean Kepi to score this week.
You're going to bet on him to score.
Yeah, I mean, you're doubting me, so I think he's generally going to score this week.
Sean Kepi is
Yep, anytime try scorer. Yep, front row forward, I know.
what's he paying anytime?
Let's find out. In fact, I'm willing to make it a side bet.
You want to side bet whether Sean Kepi will score.
Yes, I'm
Sean
willing to do
Kepi,
this.
no, I won't make it a side bet, but if Sean Kepi scores, it's auto win for this round of side bets for you.
Sure. What happens if he
No
doesn't score
upside for me. It's 1 point for me.
though?
If
Okay, yeah, fair enough.
if he scores, it's auto win for you, no matter what the rest of the bets.
How much is he paying? Guess how much he's paying. He is
Of course,
quite literally the least likely to score.
yeah, of course. A
Seven
billion to
bucks.
one. $7. Yeah,
Uh,
auto
yeah.
win.
Where are my
Um,
Kepi holics at?
sorry.
Where are my Kepi holics at? Or is it
Yeah,
Kepi maniacs? I don't know.
cappuccinos.
The cappuccinos. I like that
Yeah.
one. That's good.
Yeah, no, let's talk betting in this game. You'll I was gonna say the cappuccino bet is bad, but this one you've got is something else.
Okay, so there's going to be a lot of points in this game, right? I'm going to say the line is 54.5, which I think will be comfortably blown apart. So going over on that, then we've got a shopping list of players scoring here. So we've got Khan Pereira, Johnston, Latrell, Sami, JFAF, and DFAF at $99 to 1.
Yeah, nice.
I'll be also offsetting this with a $10 bet to some charity. because I'm essentially throwing my money away.
Yeah, nice. I had a very similar bet. No, not similar at all. Uh, a little bit lower odds. I've got the Titans head to head in this one. Um, yeah, in terms of their most recent wins, I put a lot more stock into their Titans win against the Broncos versus the Rabbitohs win against the Eels. I thought the Rabbitohs would win that game because of how depleted the Eels team was. You can't think like, oh, the Eels have started winning now. Like, it's impressive that the Rabbitohs won. No, like the Eels team was so depleted. It wasn't an impressive win. I think the jury's well and truly still out on the Bunnies, and the Titans look pretty good. Not missing too many players at this time. Foran comes back into the team, which is massive. Randall, even at 6, has been looking okay. So really like the Titans in this one at home. You can get around $1.85, $1.86, something like that. I'll chuck that above my head right now as we're speaking. But yeah, just really like the Titans head to head in this one.
Yeah.
The next game of the round is the Cowboys versus the Warriors. I've already spoken to how much I like the Warriors in this one, but let's talk to Supercoach prospects. Obviously, a lot of Cowboys players named in the extended. So don't go rushing to trade in a lot of these Cowboys players. In terms of genuine options, is there anyone at all that you would be sort of looking at from the Cowboys?
Look, I kind of agree with you there. There's just no guarantee for positions. Like I would rather stay away at this point, other than maybe Watani Zelezniak. He seems to have regained some form from earlier in the season. I would consider picking him up, but again, I don't know if that is the case of him playing well for one game and will continue to play on, or he's just played well for one game.
Yeah, I mean, so just speaking of the Cowboys first, obviously, Scotty Drink is the highest traded in player for them. And if you want to talk to someone that's got a security around a position, it's obviously Scotty Drink not playing Origin and starts every week for the Cowboys. He had a good score on the weekend. Definitely don't mind him as an option, but you have to think like he played round 13 already. So his sort of run of games is not going to be as favorable in that he's going to have some buys. I'll double check their sort of fixtures coming up. Yeah, so he'll miss 16 and 19. So he's not going to be there for those major buy rounds. So probably not really looking at him for my. And then some of the other players, like an Adam Finnell-Blake, always a fine trade in, but you don't need to go this round. I think he does have a low score in his rolling average. And then, yeah, the Dallin with Tennis and Lesniak that you spoke to, I'm a fan. I do think the center wing options are pretty weak at this point, and I do think the Warriors win this game. So I do like Dallin with Tennis and Lesniak as a pickup in this one. And the Warriors will generally stay strong through the buy round fixtures. So they play 16. They don't play 19, but they play everything else around that. Yeah, so they just miss out on 19. So I love Warriors players through this run of games. And yeah, Dallin Zelezniak. I should just say it like Blocker says it.
Yep, Zelezniak.
He says
Zelezniak
he goes Dallin by
was
Zezniak or something. Like, he just doesn't
Wozniak.
even try.
I mean, to be fair
Yeah,
though, Blocker's a very intelligent man. Sure can pronounce
yeah,
other things better.
yeah. No, but he's probably my number one traded in Warriors player this.
Yeah,
Sorry, center wing this round.
yeah. No, I should see Blocker at a French restaurant. It's got everything down.
What?
Yeah. Have you not heard him like speak French? He's got it.
Oh yeah. Anything else to add Supercoach wise, or do you want to jump into betting?
Happy to go straight into betting, to be honest. So
Perfect.
anything you've got yourself in this game?
I already mentioned the Warriors plus 6.5. Don't really need to speak to that one
Yeah,
anymore.
sorry.
Just love that bet.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about yourself?
Yeah, so I'm going Waz with DWZ to score any time. That is paying 350.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, that's all we need to say for that one. The next
Yeah.
game of the round is the Broncos versus the Sharks.
This could
Uh,
actually be the game of the round, funnily enough.
yeah, could be a real cracker. No Hines, and I guess we'll see who is out for the Broncos. I think a lot of people sort of consistently sort of looking to trade Hines out. Do you still have Hines? And if you do, are you looking to trade him out?
Well, it seems really strange that he's willing to play Origin, but he's not willing to play for his club if he is seriously that injured, which I'm really confused about. Like, if he's
Mm,
not playing for the Sharks, he's not even named in that 22, like, or something players they've named, then why are you bothering to, even play him in Origin?
yeah,
Like, how hurt is he?
yeah. I guess it depends on the extent of the injury. I think maybe it could be a really high risk to play 2 games in that short period of time. Not really sure. But yeah, like you mentioned, he's not named in the reserve, so he's not going to play this week, definitely. And yeah, I definitely can't knock anyone looking to trade him out. Uh, yeah, it just sort of depends what you're doing with that trade at the end of the day.
Yeah. On the same
Um,
kind of topic as well, I have very strong doubt that Reece Walsh plays.
mm,
He's a guy that we know has serious cramps and often takes anti-cramping medication, which is why he ends up puking every week.
yeah,
Just based on that alone, I really don't see how he can have a 4-day turnaround,
yeah,
especially when he's playing State of Origin of all things.
yeah. And Cobbo probably doesn't get too many minutes, so I think Cobbo would back up definitely and play that fullback position. But then, yeah, there's a few players that definitely like a Payne Haas and Carrigan might have minutes managed in this game. So definitely one to very closely watch if you have any of these players in Supercoach, and then also in terms of betting relevancy. Um, in terms of players that you would actually be looking to trade in either of these two teams, is there anyone that sort of stands out to you in particular?
I mean, other than Hazelton, if you don't have him, I don't mind the idea of bringing in Trindle, to be honest. I think he's doing pretty well. Like, he's back from his DUI. Um, he's performing decently, I believe, and I see him as being a pretty decent option at halfback.
So post DUI Trindle, you think is
Yeah,
elite?
indeed.
Yeah, I
John
mean,
Jones post kicking a pregnant woman
yeah,
in the belly, so you know what I mean.
yeah. For mine, someone like a Trindle, not really an option, just because you should be looking to build your halfbacks into sort of 2 gun halfbacks, and I don't think Trindle really is going to get you there. So yeah, don't really love Trindle. Prefer one of those Storm boys like a Wishart or a Hughes over Trindle.
Shaft, yeah.
But yeah, no, like there's worse trades you can make for sure. Just looking at some of the highly traded players, obviously Ronaldo Latalo is going to show up there now that he's fallen to 535. Would he be someone that you target this round? You still own him, correct?
Yeah, I still own him. I very much subscribe to the concept of if you have a gun, you keep him.
Yeah,
I probably wouldn't play him this game or purchase him this game unless you know a bunch of the Broncos players are out.
yeah. I would tend to agree, although he is at a really good price. I still probably prefer DWZ, but yeah, definitely way worse trades you can make for
Yeah.
this round.
Look, I could
Uh,
see him sliding a bit further, so I think his cheapest may be on the horizon. I think we are about to hit the bottom, but we haven't quite hit the bottom yet.
yeah. No, he still does have a 74 break even, but he had a 73 last round and a 22 before that. So I think possibly after this round, he might
Yeah, definitely agree with you
be his
there.
cheapest. So it's someone maybe to look at for next week. I'm just looking at his fixture or the Sharks fixture run coming up. They have the Dolphins in 15. They don't play 16 though. So maybe someone you target for around 17. They don't play 20 either though, is the thing. So be very wary in how you manage your team if you bring in someone like Ronaldo. But yeah, it could definitely be an option. Um, yeah, especially considering he plays sort of the Titans Tigers around that 18-19 period there. Um, in terms of the rest of the team, not too much I love as a trade in. But yeah, just monitor for trade outs in the team.
Yeah, definitely agree with that.
Let's jump into betting in this one. What did you have in this game?
Look, mine is very origin dependent as well. I think a couple of the Broncos players will end up bouncing. So I am going to say Sharks with Mulatalo anytime try score at 420.
Yeah. I can get behind that. Similar sort of opinion in mind. I think Superoach independent if Walsh is out, probably all over the Sharks plus 6.5 in this one. Yeah, off a loss. I think in the last game they played, they had a loss, is it? Or they would have. I mean, they would have anyway. But I meant the. Yeah. Sorry, yeah, they got pumped by the
Yep.
Panthers and they lost obviously last week, but they would have had a bit of a short team, and the Eels would have had a very very strong team. So yeah, like the Sharks in this one, the 6.5 line is a nice line there, but one definitely to watch and see sort of how these Broncos players end up as well. And it could be one if you're watching Origin live, you could like see like for example Payne Haas gets injured in the game, you could bet on the
Yeah,
Sharks
definitely.
straight away then.
Strong agree with that. Like if you see like Reece Walsh heaving a back play, then
Yeah,
definitely get on the Sharks.
yeah. But yeah, that's a very Origin dependent, but I like the Sharks. So no official best bet, but watch the spreadsheet for something I might cook up in there. The next game of the round is the game of the round.
No, it's not. Straight up.
Melbourne
No,
versus Newcastle.
it's not the
Uh,
game around. Like, can we move on to the next game, please? I
yeah,
don't want to talk about this. I know what's going to happen.
yeah. It may be a tough week for us this week, considering
Yeah.
it is in Melbourne, but there is some level of hope to be had in that.
There is no level of hope to be had. It's the
Well,
same 1 through 17 that got pumped by the doggies.
yeah, but you have to look at you can't just look at the Knights team. You have to look at the Melbourne team as well. We've got players like Harry Grant, obviously playing Origin.
Yeah.
He is playing off the bench, so maybe won't have as many minutes, but they do have some Origin players in there. Munster's still missing, so there is some opportunity for the Knights in this game. But yes, I would not necessarily love, um, yeah, betting on the Knights in this one. But if there was a team I was going to play, I would take the Knights, considering we're off a loss. But yeah,
That sounds
not
like a
gonna.
very hard thing to do, to be honest. Have a
Sorry.
bet on a team that's got pumped by 30 against a better team.
I think that's I think that's probably the better way to play it because people overreact generally when any team has a loss.
That
But
that was not
Supercoach
nice.
wise, for the Storm, Suafar Longo remains to be an option, but I think Pappenhausen's return date is not too far away.
Yeah,
So
let me have a look. Let me have a look at that. Yeah, so I definitely agree with that.
yeah, I'm just pulling up the ownership change percentage while you're looking at that. Obviously, the number one traded in Storm player this round is Jerome Hughes. I think a common trade would be that Hines to Hughes. Is that a trade you could get behind?
I definitely could as well. I'm looking to get into Hughes in my team. If that means I have to bring him in for Hines, I could definitely do that. I can see why people are doing it,
Yeah,
especially seeing as Hughes has, I believe, decent coverage for those bye weeks,
yeah,
and he's also not Australian.
yes, yeah. So no chance of playing Origin. He does have 117 break even, so you don't need to go in this round. But I can't knock anyone going in this round, considering we did not look the Knights didn't look amazing last week. But yeah, he plays every round except for round 19. So definitely a decent option. All these Storm guys are a decent option. Eli Katoa, just another one that consistently is traded in. Can't knock anyone jumping on him. Suafar Longo, we mentioned. Nick Meaney. Would you have any interest in a Nick Meaney?
Look, he kicks goals, but I didn't think he would be performing that well at the moment.
Yeah, no. So I think there's more that there's that sort of base upside of Meany and that he does kick goals is why people are targeting him. He does
Yeah,
have fullback center wing duel as well, which is handy. But yeah, like I don't mind it, but I don't love it at 6.15. Maybe if you felt a
yeah.
little bit get around him, but yeah, I'm not the biggest fan in the world. But yeah, definitely worth moves you can make, especially considering they have a decent run of games coming up. A player that I own is Tyron Wishart.
The
Was a
sharp.
touch disappointing in the last game he played. I think he had a 60 odd, considering he's had a really good run of games. Would he be someone that you look at a 436K?
At 436.
Yeah, 436 and Munster's out for a little bit.
Muscles out till round 20.
Yeah,
Um, given that, I can see why you'd go for him, but I don't know if it's the best move long term because eventually you're
Yeah,
gonna have to trade off him.
yeah. You of course trading off him, but
Yeah,
he's a buy around sort of like he's a buy round period sort of play, and
yeah,
then hopefully like I mean best case scenario is he goes crazy and hits like a 700-800K, and then you know trade basically straight trade into like a Cleary or a Hines.
yeah,
But worst case, I think he ends around like a 500K, and then you just have to find a little bit of money to go to one of those guys, around that round 20 sort of period. And that's my plan. Hopefully, just hold him to then, and then he's hopefully made a little bit of money, and then can move off him. So I can definitely get around anyone looking to trade him in this week. Um, yeah, definitely a decent option if you can't afford
yeah.
Jerome Hughes at a 682.
Yeah, but back to Farlongo and Pappenhausen. You'd have 2 more weeks with Farlongo, given Pappenhausen comes back around 16.
Yeah, so probably not really a
He's
trade in.
not worth trading in, but maybe even look to keep him for now, trade him out when Pappy's confirmed in.
Yeah, yeah. In terms of the Knights boys, like your Armstrong, a few people are sort of like panic trading him out after last week.
He had one bad game. Like
Yeah,
these tend to happen. Look, the one thing I don't like about him though is he doesn't really seem to have very much non-attacking upside. His base stats aren't very good.
I mean that's pretty much every fullback, so
Yeah,
you've got to expect that to an extent. But yeah, it wasn't that long ago he had 100. So
yeah. It was the
just
game before actually.
yeah,
Yeah,
just take the points on the weekend with a grain of salt. I'm definitely not trading out with the way my team is looking at the moment. I might have to play him depending on whether Bell Holmes backs up or not. But
he's my starting fullback.
yeah, nice.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Um, yeah, definitely he's fine. Like they don't need to do anything with Armstrong at this point in time. Um, not too much else that is super coach relevant. Talk betting in this game. Obviously, you've got that bet on the Storm to
Yeah.
pump the night. I
I cried
Do
when I put it on.
you have any other sort of thoughts betting wise in this game?
Look, the way I see it, I think Grant Anderson's not a very good defender. I'll give him that. So I believe he is a Xavier coach the left wing, isn't he?
Yes.
Yeah. So I can see this being him being dominated by Greg Marzu. I think Greg could finally come good and just steamroll Grant Anderson.
Yeah. That's
Just in a
not a bad
one-on-one
shout actually.
situation.
And little Marzu anytime. Probably check Wiki's model for decent odds on that one. Yeah, not a bad little shout for mine. I did sort of mention if I was going to play it, I'd probably play the Knights. I think you get a 12.5 line, which is pretty long. But that's sort of, yeah, a little bit dependent on how someone like a Harry Grant's looking after Origin. And yeah, just probably something you play closer to the game. Um, the next game of the round is the Panthers versus the Seagulls in Bluebet Stadium in Penrith. Panthers looking a touch inconsistent at the moment. That obviously the loss on the weekend. I mean, they're missing a lot of players, but I think there was some stat going around before the game that the Panthers had lost their last 4 games without Dylan Edwards, and I mean also the Dragons had lost their last like 20 games without Ben Hunt. Um, but yeah,
Yeah.
without Dylan Edwards, that Panthers team I think is a lot worse. Is there an argument to make that Dylan Edwards might be a bigger out than Cleary in this
Well,
team?
have we seen Nathan Cleary and Dylan Edwards not playing the same team before?
Probably, like not in recent memory, but
Look, I think it's not necessarily them, one or the other being out. I think it's the fact they're both out that is making the difference. Given
yeah,
that you don't have that guy who's making massive meters from the back. Like I'd say even Bizzer not being there would be. So no, Bizzer is there this week.
he was there this week, but he obviously wasn't last week.
Yeah, he wasn't there last week. I think Bizzer not being there as well is a pretty big out for them.
Yeah,
Like
he's probably
he managed to make so many meters so early on that he lays a platform for those forwards to keep on rolling. And without him, I think that may have also caused an issue. So I think Bizzer being back probably will help them. No Edwards though, I don't know.
yeah, um, yeah, obviously Brisbane are massive for their PCM. But yeah, that McLean looks pretty good on the weekend, offered a bit in attack, but yeah, out of their own end, Brisbane will obviously be massive. But yeah, I think Dylan Edwards is a massive out for this Panthers team. I don't think they're anywhere near as good without him. Um, Obviously not named in this one. I'm looking at he's in the extended reserves though. So if you're a Dylan Edwards owner, it's a pretty close watch on Origin, and then to see if he gets named as well. In terms of Supercoach options, anyone that sort of you're targeting in particular, would you be targeting that Cole now that he's locked in that jersey?
I'll actually look it up. I actually would be considering him. If I can find space, and I know I'm going to keep him long term.
Yeah.
So Cleary's out till round to 19.
Yeah.
So it's pretty far away at this point. But I don't know, to be honest, if I can really find a cheapie at this point this point in the game.
Yeah, he's hit 370K now as well. And just at the 5'8", it is difficult to work him into your team. I'd rather,
Yeah.
just hold like your Galvins or your whoever you've got in there at the moment.
Yeah, Galvin and Brown. I don't really think I can find a space for Cole if he is just a 5'8".
Yeah, which sort of does speak to why he's only 0.1% traded in. There's no one particularly highly traded in. That Leahy Hopewadi is sort of locked in that fullback spot, which is very frustrating for myself, considering I am a cooler owner. Yeah, like some people might look at trading him in, but just definitely not one for this round, at least for mine.
You know the most fucked thing about him is he's the seventh Hopewate child.
That's pretty crazy.
They have 12. Like John Hopewate has made 12 children.
Yeah, that's absolutely mental.
Yeah.
If someone was going to, that would be John Hopewadi.
Yeah. I mean, he is an inspector, is he not?
Yeah. But yeah, no, like no one particularly highly traded in, which I can understand. Alamoti, it's fine. There's better trade-ins in my opinion. But Dylan Edwards is almost 1% traded out. I can't get behind that, in my opinion.
Well, how long's he injured for?
Well, he's named in the reserve, so honestly, he could play on the weekend. Like, yeah, like I think it's max 1 to 2 weeks. So I think like he probably misses the weekend game, but if you bought him, like you probably have to think you might miss that game anyway because of Origin. Like, so like I think he almost definitely plays next week. So I can't get behind trading him out. Yeah, if you have to make a fullback trade out your other fullback.
Yeah, definitely.
He's not the one to trade out.
Yeah.
Honestly, not too much else super coach relevant. Some of the big players that you would target, like not Olakawada, obviously playing Origin, so not someone you want to target in this period. Like a Ruben Garrick's a fine sort of player to target, but yeah, no, definitely not too many players I'm all super keen on. Let's jump into betting. What do you have in this game?
Look, I think the Panthers kind of rebound after last week. I am going to go Panthers, Tango and Taruva at 450 with Blue Eye back.
Fair enough. An old betting proverb is look for your money where you lost it. Last week I got a bet on the Panthers 1 to 24. This week I'm going to bet on the Panthers 1 to 24 again. This Panthers team is better than the Panthers team that played the Dragons. You get someone like a Bizza back, you get Luai back, you get Liam Martin back. And yeah, at least a few of those will play. This is another one that I'll probably wait to later on to play. But yeah, like this Panthers team, off a loss, I think will be fired up to win, but I don't think they're good enough. Missing someone like a Dylan Edwards and a Cleary, I don't think they're good enough to beat this Manly team by more than 24. So happy to take them in a 1 to 24 market. You can get that around $1.85. I'll have that above my head now as well. But yeah, like the Panthers in a closer one in this one. And yeah, happy to take them at that, but one that I probably take on the day of the game. The last one is the Monday night game. It'll be because of the long weekend.
How good is a Monday night footy?
Yeah, the Bulldogs versus the Eels. Um, some a few Eels options that suddenly become popular with uh with all of them with the team makeup now. Obviously, Moses and Gunston back in the team, and then that will hopefully improve the scores of the entire team, especially in like attacking output. Um, but yeah, is there anyone in particular that you would be trading in either of these teams, the Bulldogs or the Eels?
Well, I think if you don't have a second hooker, I think Brenton Hands right now is a lock.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
We've
Um,
already
I,
sort of
yeah, we've already
spoken.
spoken about him. And
Yeah,
another player I'm looking a bit closely at is, and call me insane here, that's Sivo.
I would say you're insane because I just don't know that the job security's there. He was dropped earlier in the year.
He's he's been dropped. He's come back. He's performing better. He looked really good last week actually.
Yeah,
And even though he may only run in the last 10 meters, he still scores tries. So that's all that matters.
yeah. I mean, that is true. He does get the points from tries. He had a 81 last round and 112 before that. So he's put together some decent scores, but for mine, there's just way, way, way too much risk in a Sevo. Then I think you can get a similar sort of try scoring upside in someone like a DWZ without a lot of the risk of the potential of being dropped. And
Yeah.
yeah, I'm not super convinced on this Eels team still. Um, yeah, so it's about speaking of hands, but Mitch Moses, would he be someone that you want to target through this period?
I can see Mitch Moses is someone I can see you may want to drop from Nico Hines to Moses for.
Hmm.
Other than that, um, he's not going to play Origin, you'd assume, but who knows? If New South Wales lose by a bunch, there is every chance that he ends up finding his way into the halves.
Yeah, yeah. And I would go so far as to say that he will end up in the halves because it was sort of stated by Madge that he was like Cleary was the number one option, then Moses was number two, and Hines obviously number three. So I think if he plays okay, I think he gets picked if New South Wales win this first game. So definitely, sorry, if New South Wales lose this first game, if yeah, so definitely one that I would be super super wary of trading in, and yeah, definitely just prefer like a Jerome Hughes.
Yeah.
Like obviously no risk in Hughes compared because Hughes is a Kiwi, and Hughes is cheaper as well. So
Yeah.
just go Jerome Hughes. Don't try and be clever. Jacob Preston's still a bit traded in. Lot less keen on Jacob Preston this round now that he's hit it 600k, and he just didn't have that buy round in his rolling. Uh, like you don't get the benefit of him playing in the round 13 buy round.
Yeah.
He does his buy round fixtures coming up are still pretty good. Like he plays misses the round 15 buy, which doesn't really matter because that's not even a mini buy round like this one is.
Yeah.
It's just one team buy round. So there's worse trade-ins, but yeah, still not a massive fan. And then all the usuals like a Dylan Brown is always going to be a decent trade-in with all the options that they have there.
Yeah.
Anyone else that you like the look of for Supercoach?
I'm still kind of looking at Kiraz, but I think his price is probably a bit too much now for me to jump on him.
Yeah, yeah. I'm not super keen on Kuraz, and I think is he playing on it? Yeah, no, he's playing wing this week actually. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm interested to see Cherry as well. Without
Yeah.
Sado Carr, he may end up not passing the ball as much. But again, that is something I would rather wait and see.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, Kira's maybe more of an option this week, considering he was Adokar's out. He'll pretty much be locked in to like guaranteed a wing spot. I prefer him at the wing, so maybe Kiraz becomes more of an option than he was last week. But it just goes back to I have options that I prefer, so not super keen.
Yeah,
Um, anything else you want to mention, or should we jump into bets for this game?
I'm happy to go straight to bets.
Yeah, nice. So what do you have?
Yeah, so I think the Eels continue their pressure. I think the Doggies, they won comfortably last week and deservedly so. But I think it might get to their head a little bit. I think that they aren't prepared for a better team. And I think the Eels will win they'll win pretty close. They'll win by maybe about 10 to 12 points, where the Doggies just kind of underestimate what the Eels can do. So with that in mind, I am just going with the classic Eels, Sivo, and Talangi at $6, being Blaze Talangi.
Yeah. For mine, I think this might be a bit of a letdown spot for the Eels after the win they had last week. People will read too much into the Sharks losing to the Eels, I think, because obviously the Sharks didn't have some of their big guns in like a Hines in this team. So yeah, I don't read as much into the Eels win as others may. But yeah, like I bet on the Eels last week and I'm betting against them this week. Happy to take the Bulldogs in this one. I think they have looked very strong and continue to look very strong, and they get all their boys back that they were missing, most likely. But this is another one. It's sort of one you wait for game day, see if Burton, see if Brian are going to play. But at least with the Bulldogs, you have the benefit that this is the last game. So a lot less of that fatigue is going to be relevant on the Bulldogs as opposed to some of the earlier games like the Friday night game. Yeah, so super keen on the Bulldogs this game. I'm willing to take you on a side bet if you're keen.
More than happy to take a side bet on this one.
Cool, cool. So we'll take Eels, Bulldogs head to head in this one. Yeah, hopefully all the Bulldogs boys get named and that doesn't come back on me. Anything else to mention? That's the last game of the round. Anything else to mention you think in terms of Supercoach or betting?
Yeah, not that I can think of, to be honest. I think we've covered it pretty in depth.
Yeah.
Anything yourself?
Yeah, I mean, well, I'll just mention we've obviously got those two side bets for the round. That auto win one that you had, Kepi.
He's going to score. He's going to score.
Yeah, auto win if he scores, and then I'll just get a point if he doesn't score, and then obviously the Bulldogs para head to head. Just to sort of speak about, because obviously this is like a mini buy round. It's important to note you'll still need to field the full 17. So you have to sort of prepare well for these type of rounds. So moving forward through this buy round period, obviously 16 is the next major buy, and then 17 is a mini buy. Start to look at some of those teams that are playing on the buy through that period, and then sort of you want to be trading in to make sure you have enough coverage in those games. So yeah, while a lot of the trades might not seem like they're the best trade, you have to think about like the actual coverage you have. So that's why someone like a Sam Finu becomes a really, really good trade, like my number one trade in almost this week, because of that coverage. But yeah, no, that probably wraps us up for today. As always, if you have any questions, have any ideas for forfeits for the side bets, leave a comment.
Yeah, he'll be doing the side bet. A forfeit as always, given Sean Kepi is going to go over today. So
yeah, Sean Kepi's guaranteed to score. Put your house on it.
Totally guaranteed.
Yeah, no, but I think that's pretty much everything. Unless you've got anything else to add, we'll go fuck ourselves.